So, good morning, dear participants. I would like to thank you all. So, first of all, of getting interested into our call, and secondly, of course, for joining our information event. And your participation is very much appreciated. So, please be informed that the event will be recorded, as I mentioned before, and the recording will be placed in our CPFA website and the you can call for proposal section. And I'm also putting a link, or maybe my colleague could put a link. Yone, could you do that? The link to our main call website, where all of the information is there. If you are not able to do so, maybe I will put it later on. So please be aware that all the information related to the call can be found here, and all the updates are available there as well. Also, one quick technical thing, you have a possibility to ask questions into the chat during the event. And if the questions are very straightforward, my colleagues will provide you with answers right away. But if the questions require more explanation, please be sure that all the questions will be answered and placed in that main call website. There's a section for the guidelines for applicants, and later on below that there is a Q&A section, so you can download the PDF file and you will see all the answers to the questions raised. Okay, so let's start from the big picture view to better understand where this call came from, and a bit of a hint. It will also help you to identify one of the eligibility criteria. So first things first, the European Union has started a food security program targeting Caribbean region for 2023-2027 with a budget of 19 million euros. Also, the currency, it's a bit different. It aims to support sustainable, climate-friendly local food production, also improve food distribution in the region, promote healthy eating, of course, and strengthen social support systems. And this program is implemented with the support of 4 projects. And they are implemented by different actors. So we have International Trade Center project, aims to strengthen sustainable value chains. Then we have a Caribbean Development Bank, who works on sustainable food systems. We have Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, ICA, who's implementing project aiming at strengthening the regulatory framework in sanitary and phytosanitary measures. I think I pronounced it correctly, maybe not. And we have a 4 project with the name of EU CAN that is implemented by Spanish organization FIAP and the Lithuanian organization CPFA, whose aim is of this program is to increase the social inclusion of all actors in the food system while enhancing equitable access to nutritionally adequate diet. And one of the activities of this project is our call for proposals managed by CPFA. And I think here it's a really great chance to introduce myself. My name is Eimantė Vaitakūnaitė, and I'm the project manager for this particular project. And together with the even bigger team behind the screen, we're responsible for this call. And one of them is our financial officer, Jonė Šarkvienė, who will also show herself, or she's already here actually, as long as I see it, and will present the financial aspects when the money will come into view. Okay, so moving forward. So while we got to know better all the framework and the roots of the call, I would like to go deeper into the call itself. So where and why we're gonna make the difference? So the global objective of this call is related to overall UCAN objective that I already mentioned, but I think there's no harm to repeat it. It's increase the social inclusion of all actors in the food system while enhancing equitable access to nutritionally adequate diets. So this call will contribute to reach this goal. And the EU can call for proposal, target 6 of Eastern Caribbean countries. So we have Antigua and Barbuda, Grenada, San Lucia, Dominica, San Kitts and Nevis, and San Vicente and Grenadines. And all this call will be shaped around these 6 countries. So be prepared to hear these 6 countries all the time during this event. Okay. So the main priority areas are divided in 3 sections. And these 3 sections are distributed within 2 lots. So we have a social protection and nutrition access on one part, that is lot 1. And we have a circular economy and innovation on the other side, and it's a lot 2. So, talking money, we have a total budget of the €500,000. And please note, everything related to the money in this call is in euros. And when you form the budget, everything should also be indicated in euros. But about this, Jana will talk later on. So we have 2 lots with separate coverage of the priority areas and the separate amount dedicated for it. So for lot 1, the project could be funded within the range of €50,000 to up to €100,000. While on the lot 2, the minimum amount is the same, we have €50,000, but the maximum amount is a bit bigger. It's €150,000. So you need to think very wisely for which priority areas you are go for, and keep in mind the ranges of amount. And other important note that will also be covered by Jana later on, but I kind of feel an obligation to tell you it right now, that the co-financing is not required, although in a lot of other projects it's mandatory, but this is kind of an exception, and we are providing you with the possibility of requesting full 100% funding. But please keep in mind that you will need to request the funding within that before mentioned ranges regarding to the lots. Okay, so let's move on to the eligibility requirements. So for a clearer view, we divided the eligibility in 2 sections. One is for the applicant, meaning the lead applicant requirements, co-applicant or co-applicants. Here we will be talking about the type of entities, restrictions, exclusions also, everything related to the app. And another part is the eligibility of the action, meaning we will be talking about the duration of the project, type of the actions, target groups, final beneficiaries, and etc. and etc. So everything related to the project content. So moving to the eligibility of the applicants. Lead applicant must be a legal person. So that means no applications from the individual people are accepted. Logic. It also should be a non-profit organization, meaning NGO or community-based entity. And let's say, since this eligibility criteria is kind of broad, we also provided possible examples, but please note these are the examples. So for instance, foundations, trusts, public interest bodies, we can have a public education institutions, and many, many more. So as long as it is applied to the eligibility criteria of non-profit generating entity. So please be aware of that. And here, I should also note to you that, for instance, if you want to check yourself, if you're eligible, and you will ask this question in the Q&A, is my organization is eligible, and yada, yada, yada. Unfortunately, we will not be able to consult you in this kind of a straightforward way. an answer to this question since we just cannot do so. So please carefully read the guidelines and look if you are eligible for that or not. Also, moving on, the entity should have proven experience in the field related to the priorities of the action and in concrete sphere that your project targets. So that means that entity also should be active in the particular field. So we already discussed the priority areas. We will talk later on about the actions, examples of the actions and so on. So it should be in the concrete sphere according to our call for proposal objectives and guidelines. Also, important note, lead applicant should be directly responsible for the preparation and management of the action with the call applicant or co-applicants, if any, and not just acting and as the intermediary. This is a very important note. And also, once again, lead applicant should be established in one or few or all the target Caribbean countries. And you can see once again them in the slide. It's the Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and Grenadines. And now, when it comes to the co-applicant or co-applicants, because there could be more than one, if you decide to have one or few of those, the eligibility requirements stay the same, only the direct responsibility is applied to the lead applicant, but other requirements remains the same. And it is also worth mentioning that you can also have associates and contractors to the action as well. And associates, meaning that it could be organizations that support the action but not receiving any part of the budget implementation. So that means also there is an exception for those expenses, so they can have expenses related to the travel and per diems. So this is related to the business trips. And important thing, those associates should be mentioned in the application form as well, and there is a specific section for that to do so. I will show you later on in the demo. Okay, so let's move to a bit of tricky part, but we will try to explain it in the easy logic as easy as possible. So the applicant could be acting as only lead applicant of the project, right? It could also be formed a consortium. Now, not all entities and consortium are eligible, and there are specific rules for that. But beforehand, please note that the lead applicant can submit more than 2 applications for this call. That means that if we have 2 calls, so 1 per each lot, and it could be awarded only for 1 grant per lot. And it is the same with the co-applicants. They can also submit 1 application per lot, meaning in total, it could submit 2 applications per this call. Okay, so now let's move on with the explanation who can submit. And since the call is initially aimed at supporting local organizations, so the local Caribbean entity who's placed in one of the 6 target Eastern Caribbean countries and can go as a sole implementer, as a sole applicant, is eligible, right? So it's easy. We're targeting the local organizations, and local Caribbean entity is eligible to participate in the call. And this is the first way how it could be formed. Now we have a local Caribbean entity, the same one. For instance, I'm the local Caribbean entity, and I'm also placed in one of the 6 Eastern Caribbean countries, target countries that we mentioned before. But I don't want to go alone, right? So I'm asking another organization or organizations that are also local and also placed in one of the 6 Eastern Caribbean target countries of the call, and ask them to join and make a consortium and apply for the action. Yes, I can do that as well. So this is the second way how I can go to the call. And if I'm local Caribbean entity again, the same one, and I'm asking international entities local branch, that means the project is registered in one of the 6 Eastern Caribbean target countries, or they are registered as such in the country, and they are in the Caribbean, one of those 6 Eastern Caribbean target countries, they are also eligible to apply. And this is the third way. Now it gets a bit trickier. Stay with me, please. We are the same local Caribbean entity and international entity local branch consortium. And we are moving together with international entity headquarters that are not in one of the 6 Eastern Caribbean target countries. We're also eligible to apply. So we even have a bigger consortium here. And this is the fourth way. And let's move on. So if we don't want to have a local Caribbean entity in our consortium, and we have only the international entity local branch, they're also Caribbean, and we're moving together with our headquarters that are not in one of the Eastern Caribbean target countries, we cannot apply. This is very important to note because our call is directed to the local organizations. So we want to empower the local organizations to make a difference and to contribute to the action. So that means the local organization is very important for your consortium if you're forming it. And if I'm not Caribbean entity and I'm international entity and I want to go alone, I cannot do that. So basically, the whole idea is that if I'm local entity in one of those 6 Eastern Caribbean target countries of the call, I can go alone as a sole implementer. I can have another local entities. I can have international headquarters together with a branch. I can have a branch and so on. But everything, when you form a consortium, you should think that the local Caribbean entity should be in your consortium. Okay, I know it's a bit tricky, and this kind of explanation is provided in the guidelines for applicants, although it's in a bit of different structure, but the logic is the same. So if it's still not quite clear, of course, you can ask the questions. And additionally, please check the guidelines for applicants. Maybe the logic is a bit easier for you to understand from that table. Okay. So to make it even trickier, we have also some exclusions. So the first exclusion is that entities that are currently receiving direct EU funding from the European Commission or through the European Union delegation to Barbados or from any other EUD under the before mentioned EU Caribbean Regional Food Security Program that I already mentioned at the beginning of the event are not eligible to apply under this call. However, organizations that receive funding indirectly through these direct beneficiaries remain eligible. So in easy words, if I have a contract with the EU Commission or EU delegation, and I'm receiving the funding directly from European Commission or delegation, under this program, under this food security program, I could not apply. But if my organization decided to give a direct grant, for instance, or some kind of any kind of financing to other organization, other NGO, that means that the contract is not signed directly with the EU. That means my organization was as an intermediary here. So this kind of NGO organization is able to apply. Now, another exclusion is that entities that are in the situation listed in the particular section of the Prague rules, these are the package of the rules for funding, cannot apply. So it is basically about not being in violation of the laws, non-compliance with ethical standards, and etc., etc. And maybe later on, after the event, when we will share the slides, I will put the link into the slides, into the comment section, the link where all of the violation and all the standards and everything is written there. So you will be able to check in. Okay, so that's kind of all for the eligibility of applicants. And we're moving to the eligibility of the action. So the action should be directly contribute to the before mentioned global objective of the call and address at least one of the priorities that we also discussed. As a kind of reminder, social protection, nutrition, and circular economy and innovation. Logic, right? Also, the project should be aimed for fast action, meaning that the project should be from 6 to up to 12 months and not more. And once again, project amount varies according to the lot. So we have a lot 1 that targets social protection and nutrition priorities that can request funding from 50,000 euros to maximum 100,000 euros. And we have a lot 2 that targets circular economy and innovation and can be funded to up to 150,000 euros. And probably I will not mention it again, but you can see all those 6 target countries that the action should be in. Okay. Now, let's talk a bit about the target groups and the beneficiaries of the action. So, we need to clearly distinguish the target groups and target beneficiaries. So, the target groups are the ones that very evidently benefiting from the action. So, for instance, if you're organizing a training for women on how to use the new irrigation system, the target group at this point would be a woman in farming activity, right? Another example would be if you're trying to strengthen cooperatives with, for instance, aim of them to be able to support farmers in markets, the target group would be cooperatives. Now, for the final beneficiaries, it should be a bit broader in scope. And for instance, if we're thinking for a long-term impact for which the action contributes to. So, okay, so let's get back to the same example. If we're taking women trainings in farming, the final beneficiaries could be, for instance, household and families as such, because the better harvest, it means the better income for the increasing life conditions. Also, we can think of the wider community, for instance, as a final beneficiary who gains from the increased food availability and possible stable supply. If we're taking the example of strengthening the cooperatives, then final beneficiary here would be the farmers who are members of the cooperatives. That means they are getting better access to markets, maybe getting better price, maybe enhance the knowledge as such overall, right? Now, in the slide, you can see many, many more examples, and they are also placed in the guidelines for the applicants. But please be reminded that these are only the examples. And I truly believe that you will think of any other options of target beneficiaries or target group as such for your particular action. Okay. And now we're moving on to talk about the types of actions. Since we have two lots, the action should align with at least one of the priorities. So, as example, for the lot 1, targeting nutrition and social protection, the actions could be related to the cooperative's promotion. It could be strengthening those cooperatives through trainings, right? We can think of some policy recommendation and et cetera, and et cetera. We can also think of if we're taking the same movement that we discussed before, we can think of the capacity building for women. We can have a capacity building for youth or marginalized groups and so on. Also, we can think of even the awareness raising campaigns as well, for instance, for the healthy eating. If we're taking the lot 2, targeting the circular economy and innovation, the examples of the initiatives could be, for instance, the pilot projects for circular economy or waste management solutions. Maybe we can think of promotion of composting or recycling actions. We can have a trainings here on the innovative tools. We can create, for instance, the hubs or specific centers for processes of youth in including them better in the circular economy. So there are many also actions that could be implemented. And once again, these actions are only the example. So that means you should not be very much targeting those examples, but also you see the et cetera, that means this is your idea of the action. Now, there are some restrictions here as well. So the ineligible actions are actions that are purely of commercial nature. That means that action should have a clear social inclusion or nutrition outcomes, right? Other thing is that actions cannot be aligned, should be aligned with global objective and the priorities of the call. So it's kind of logic, right? And ineligible are those actions that are focusing exclusively on infrastructure without accompanying capacity building or service delivery components. That means that no pure equipment as like one component of the action could be financed. So it's really ineligible. And about the equipment, we will have another talk together with Yana. Ineligible are the actions concerned only or mainly with individual sponsorships for participation in workshops, seminar, and other events, because it's not the project itself, right? Then we have the actions that concerned only or mainly with individual scholarships for studies or training courses. It's also not a project. And last but not least, actions and measures that may result in violation of human rights in partner countries or causing significant adverse effects on the environment or the climate. So it's kind of straightforward. And once again, it's time for your story. So please don't get to rely only on our examples. Okay, so now let's talk a bit about how to put everything that we discussed in some measurable structure, because we need to measure if the project will succeed or not. So the project consists of overall and specific objectives. We also have outputs and activities. And this kind of package is really needed to achieve the set project goals. Now, please be reminded that all those aspects should also be indicated in the application, since there will be a specific document for that, and it is called Logical Framework. And I will show this document for you shortly. But before that, I have created the example, and maybe I will try to provide more in detail explanation how to treat those indicators into the slide later on when I will share it with you, because it could look a bit of a complex, but when you go deeper, it makes some kind of a logic. So I'm not sure we have a lot of time to go into deep, but maybe I'll just try to explain how I tried to make this kind of a log frame. So first of all, we have an overall objective, right? It is called impact. Impact means that it's a long-term impact. And if we're thinking, and usually it is measured according to the country scope. So of course, our small project will not be very, very impactful to reach that long-term result, right? But what we want to achieve, we want to support, we want to contribute to this long-term impact. So for instance, if my project aims to improve the consumption of healthy foods among children in country X, and I could say, for instance, in Lithuania, we're from Lithuania. So in Lithuania, my indicator is the percentage of the children receiving 3 healthy meals a day in Lithuania. And here I need to think of some reliable data where I can get all the information from. So we can think of some regional data, maybe some country reports conducted by the ministries or some international organizations, right? And I am indicating in the baseline the date and the found information from that report, annual report, for instance. And I want to achieve a target. So I'm setting myself a target, 30% in this case, but I'm sure that not only my project will contribute if this target will be achieved, but at least we are trying to get to contribute to this target. Okay, and then I'm going to the specific objective, the outcomes level, and here I'm starting to think about my project scope. So I indicated in the outcome that children adopt healthier food choices and practices. And I put the percentage of people reporting enhanced healthy eating practices as the indicator. And if I'm saying that people are reporting, that means I need to make a survey. People themselves need to tell me if they enhance healthy eating practices or not here, right? So I need to have in mind also, constructing the project, that I need to create or conduct a survey later on after the events, for instance, or after the project. And I want to achieve 80% of the target people who will say that they enhanced healthy eating diet. So I'm not thinking myself that those who participated in my events enhanced healthy eating practices, right? They need to report this themselves because indicators. And then we're moving to the outputs level. So here, it is not a coincidence that I've put activities and tasks nearby the output. So it's very, very much interlinked. So if my output says community nutrition session delivered, that means I am in my activity plan, I will have an event basically. In my indicator, could also say, for instance, conducting 3-4 events per project. But here I want to target number of participants completing, for instance, 3 or more sessions each. That means that if one participant participated in 2 sessions from 10, for instance, I could not indicate that he as a indicator, as a target person. And here also the source of data, we have a participant list, facilitator, maybe reports, and so on. So here you see we're going very, very much into the activities on the output level. And another example is the awareness raising events on healthy eating conducted. That means I'm going to have an awareness raising campaign. So my target here is 3 awareness raising campaigns. And my indicator is the number of the awareness raising events organized. At this point, I can have also the indicator of people reached, for instance, right? If I have an awareness raising event, I have a social media post, and I then gather the information, how many people liked or how many people commented, and so on and so forth. So it's very, very much, actually, my whole example is a bit maybe not that detailed, because you will need to have more outputs, more outcomes, but this is some kind of a guidance for you how to look at it. And it's very, very depend on the project itself. And what I'm going to do right now, I will try to show you the log frame itself. I will stop sharing. And I'll show you the log frame, how it looks. Yeah, this one. I hope you can see it. Yana, please let me know if you cannot see it. So the logical framework, and sorry, please don't be scary. It looks a lot, they're very complex, but at the same time here, it's only the description, how you need to treat the log frame. So you read everything about the baselines, about the target, source of data, and so on and so on. And then you move on to the log. Here, it's also here, there's a description and the guidance for you. And below you see the impact indicator, impact 2, impact 3. What I would propose to you is that the projects are not very large in scope. That means, from my opinion, the impact indicator could be 1. Don't make it more complex for you. This is my only opinion. And then we're moving to the outcome parts. So we can have outcome 1, outcome 2. We can have more than 1 indicator near the outcomes. I showed you only 1 because of the easier explanation. And then we're moving to the outputs, and you see output is very much related to the outcome 1. So that means if you have an outcome 1, outcome 2, outcome 3, so respectively you have and should have at least 1 or more outputs related to the specific outcomes. And this way you just fill in all the table. And you should attach to the application as well. I will show you later on how to do that in the demo of applications. Okay, and I'm getting back to the presentation of mine. Okay, and here, I hope you can see it. Okay, and now we're going to a very interesting part as well. And I give a floor to our financial officer, Ioana Sharkovinish, who will present the financial aspect.
Okay, thank you, Imanka. A break. Hello, everyone. Once again, in this part of presentation, we will review the financial aspects. Okay, let's start by giving a short overview of the financial framework. As mentioned before, we have a total budget of 500,000 euros divided into 2 lots. Lot 1 covers priority 1 and 2. Lot 2 covers priority 3. All proposal budget must stay within the required ranges and presented in euros. EU funding covers 100% eligible costs, but VAT or either similar indirect taxes must be covered by your organization. The contracting authority may shift funds between lots depending on the proposal quality. We can move to that. Thank you. Here we take a look at the main budget rules. The budget must be realistic and directly linked to activities. Your budget acts both as plan as a ceiling. Reimbursement depends on real expenses. For example, if the budget says 1,000, but actually payslips shows 900 euros, only 900 is eligible. Some adjustments may be made later to fix errors or remove ineligible items. Okay, another slide. Yes, this section explains what makes a cost eligible. A cost must be necessary, linked to the project, and incurred during the implementation period. It has to be reasonable, documented, and visible in your accounting records. Cost must be complied with guidelines for applicants, Article 214, and general conditions of grant contract. In short, every cost must be real, justified, and clearly connected to activities. Yes, here, here we outline what kinds of costs can be considered direct. These are costs needed to implement activities such as staff, travel, equipment, experts, and similar items. Below, below is listed a subject that cannot be financed. This includes bonuses, debts, currency exchange losses, VAT, or double-funded items. Costs unrelated to the project or not respecting procurement rules are also ineligible. This part highlights several additional rules. Indirect cost can be up to 7% of direct cost and do not require detailed reporting. This is no financial guarantee or no contingency reserve. The financing may be up to 80% of the contracting value. Thank you. Here we can focus on expenditure verification. Every project must undergo a final external audit regardless of grant size. This cost must be included in your budget. Next, we go through the documents required to provide financial capacity. Lead applicants need to submit financial statements for the last 3 closed years. They must also complete Annex E, Financial Capacity Verification Questionnaire, and provide documents like registration proof, bank statement, the implemented project lists. Documents must be scanned clearly and translate into English where needed. And thank you. On this page, you'll find a mandatory budget template. All tabs must be completed: budget, justification, and expect source of funding. Please follow the instructions shown below in the budget template. This section walks you through filling in the budget. You must specify units, quantities, unit values, and total amounts. Each item needs a clear explanation and calculation. In the next slide, yes, there is third tab. The EU covers 100% of funding, so this must be reflected in the sources of funding in this sheet. Here we explain how to plan human resource expenses. Staff cost must follow your organization's salary structure and be calculated using FTE. The budget line should always include the FTE percentage. Justification should describe each role, responsibilities, and salary calculations. Please note, once again, bonuses are not eligible. Let's look now at travel budgeting. Each cost must be described per person with destination, duration, route, and transport type. Per diems must follow EU limits. Local travel can be included if necessary and properly justified. Equipment. Here we quickly go over how equipment's costs are treated. The table shows when the full cost of equipment can be covered and when only partial cost is eligible. Equipment used to produce project results, like farming tools, IT for communities, prices, can be financed fully if it stays with the final beneficiaries after the project. Equipment used by applicant's team, laptop, vehicles, furniture can be fully covered only if it is later transferred to beneficiaries or used for similar EU-funded works. If it stays with the organization for its own use, the only depreciation for the project period is eligible. Renting is always an option. At the bottom, you see the equipment budget lines you will need to fill in. Here we describe other external services. These are costs had to fit into do not fit into other categories, but must be directly linked to the project. They must follow procurement rules, and all expert services under service contract belong under line 5.7. And the final checklist. To finish, here is what to check before submitting your proposal. Make sure the narrative part and budget match and that all costs are well justified. Avoid inflation of cost and verify all calculations. Respect the 30% limit for equipment and 7% limit for indirect cost. Ensure expenditure verification is included and upload all required documents. With this slide, I will end my overview of the financial aspect, and I hope this was helpful. So we can back to you, Imante.
Thank you a lot, Yana, for your presentation. Yana is a bit sick, so we really appreciate your efforts to present. Okay, so now we'll dig deeper into the technicalities. So I will present you here how to put your ideas and initiatives to get that kind of funding. So in order to succeed in application, you should carefully read the guidelines for applicants that are placed in the CPA website that we have a link already in the chat. The second step is to fill out the application via the specific platform called Submittable, and we will jump into the demo in a second. And third, please do not forget to fill out and sign the documents that is needed and upload these documents into the system. And I will show you how to do it right now. Okay, so before the demo. So here I would like to mention key aspects of the Submittable system for you to succeed. So first of all, in the CPA website and accessing the link in your chat, you will find the link to the Submittable system for application submission. And when you access the link, you will find the invite to submit your application. And when you press the button Submit, that orange button, the system will ask you to register and create an account. And unfortunately, without creating the account, you will not be able to submit the application. Of course, those who used the system before for the previous calls, although I'm not sure there will be many of you, may access the same account and will be able to submit the application for this call as well. Later on, you will be able to fill out the application from the system and include all the necessary information. Important note, once again, do not forget to provide the supporting documents as well. And I will show you again it into the demo. And actually, why we decided to use the Submittable system is because of these kind of great technicalities. So there are a few great tips that I want to share with you. So first of all, you are able to save the draft before submitting. But please, please, please do not forget later on to submit, to press the button Submit, since we cannot see the draft and we will not be able to accept the application, even though we know that you really worked hardly on that. And other nice thing is that if you have a co-applicants or want to let other members of the organization to review or contribute to the application, you can invite them to do so with the Manage Collaborators button. Okay, And now I will leave my slides again because I want to show you the submittable system. Okay. Back. Okay. Okay. Jana, could you confirm that you can see the application?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Okay, so this is the view that you will see when entering the link to the application, not the link of the overall call for proposal, but the link to the submission. Now, as I mentioned, we're pressing the button submit, and the system asks me to register. And since I already have an account, I will try to log in. Okay, now I'll try to think if I remember my, okay, probably not. Maybe this one will work. Okay, I'm in. One important note. The deadline for submitting the application is January 21st, 2006, 6 a.m. And I'm not sure if you're seeing 6 a.m. when entering the application, because this is according to the Lithuanian time zone, and I could not change the time. So please be aware, 12 p.m. is Lithuanian time, it's not your time. So the deadline is January 21st, 6 a.m. ACT, that means Caribbean time. I hope you can see 6 a.m. in your time zones. I really hope that. Okay, manage collaborators buttons that I mentioned before. You can include an email and then request colleagues to join. And later on, oh, you see, I already tried to enter the information and it's already saved. So then I'm filling out the form. So I'm writing the lead applicant's name. I'm indicating if I'm profit making or not, all of the information needed. So this part is about the applicants and co-applicants information, more like a administrative information here. Okay, now later on, you will reach the content part. So the content part is separated into parts. So we have a part A, the concept note, a brief information about the action. And we have a part B, full application, getting a bit more deeper into your application. And it's very important to have these two parts, and I will tell you later on why. So we're including information about the action, to which lot we're applying to, all the information. You see there is a required information here. That means that if you will not fill in particular field, you will not be able to submit. So please check it as well. And we're writing. Then we come into full applications form. So there are more questions on all the action. And then we're coming into a very interesting part that requests you to download the document from the link. And I will do it right now. We will be able, probably you won't be able to see it. Maybe I'll share it because I shared not my screen. Okay. Probably now you will be able to see it. So I'm downloading the document through this link. I'm opening it. Then I'm filling the information that requests me to do according to the tasks here. Proposed activities, maximum 4,000 characters with spaces. And I'm filling in this document. Then I'm saving it and getting back to my application and reading the instructions further. So it was meant to fill the required forms and upload it below. And that means I need to upload it. So I have two options to do that. I just can go to my downloads folder, and I just can put it here. And it appeared here. Or I also can go choose a file, go to downloads, activities, open, and it's also there. And you will be needing to do that for a bunch of other documents. So we have the action plan. We also have a table that you need to fulfill. So I'm writing just something. And I also, when I write a risk, I need to include a mitigation as well, for instance, right? Okay, so I'm filling it in. I'm coming to a logical framework, the pretty one document that we already showed you, and you also need to fill in. So you need to download the document from the link, fill it out, and upload it again. Here again, the budget, downloading it, filling it, uploading it, and so on and so forth. And there will be, as I mentioned, a bunch of those documents. Then we came into a checklist, and I will tell you a checklist about more later on. So it will be also should be uploaded. Now, there are some documents that are required to sign. For instance, declaration. Okay, or maybe I'll show you not declaration, but the mandate for co-applicants, okay? So I'm downloading this document, and the mandate says that co-applicant authorize the lead applicant to submit on their behalf the present application form and sign on their behalf the standard grant content. So if you have a co-applicant in your action, each co-applicant should fill in, sign, and upload different mandates. So how many co-applicants you have, that many you should have the mandates signed. Okay, back. And later on, we have a supporting documents. So supporting documents for lead applicant and supporting documents for the co-applicant are different. So please be aware of that. Some of the documents that you need to fill in according to the templates are indicated here. See, we have Annex 2, Declaration of Owner, we have identification form for private or public body, and so on. So also, again, you need to download, fill in, and upload it here. But there are documents that there's no such template for. For instance, statutes or articles of the association. So these are your organization statutes or articles that you need to include as well. So you need to do it here as well. So you need to select up to 74 files. You can do that. I'm not sure you will need that much, but still. So this table will guide you through which documents are necessary to submit. And please carefully check which documents you need to submit and include those, because later on the evaluation stage, we will be evaluating an administrative check if all the documents are submitted. So please do so. And it's the same for the co-applicant. So there are less documents to submit, status and articles, and other documents could be also downloaded from this table of templates. And later on, we will be thanking you for your submission. This is the link to our call for proposals main general website, and you're submitting the application. I will not do that right now, but as far as I heard rumors, you should receive the information into your emails that you are succeeded in submitting the application. So if you're not receiving this kind of email, please check also the spam, but you should receive this kind of an email. If you are submitting and you cannot see something, so please refer to me via my email, and I will try to check internally what kind of issues there are in place. Okay, so I'm ending my demo and I'm getting back to the slides. Please stay with me because there are less of them. Okay. I am here sharing and showing. Okay, so we already discussed this part. Now, after you submit your application, your part of work is done. And then the evaluation phase is coming into force. So a bit about the evaluation of the application. So you will submit one application that is divided in two parts in terms of the content. As I already mentioned, part A, the concept note part, where there is a brief information about the action of yours, and the part B, there is a deeper information about the action. And those parts will be evaluated separately. Okay, so the first part of the evaluation is the administrative check that I already mentioned to you. So we will be checking if the applicants are eligible according to the requirement, if the documents are submitted, all of the documents submitted, if the duration are not exceeding the requirements, and so on and so forth. The second part is the evaluation of part A. And here, this evaluation is mainly assessment of the project objectives, targets, alignment with the priorities, and etc. etc. After that, you will receive the notification email stating if you passed for the following stage or not, and a general comment from the evaluators. Now, for the third part, the part B of your application, we will be checking the whole action, its complementarity with other initiatives, go deeper into the budget, and many more aspects into great detail. And after this evaluation, you will also get a notification from us if you passed it or not. Now, very important part is that second and third parts will be evaluated by external independent assessors, and for transparency and equal treatment purposes, one application will be evaluated by at least two assessors. And more about the evaluation, Jonna will present on the financial things.
Yes, if my voice allows. Okay. Yes, this slide shows the proposal selection process. All proposals are accepted and evaluated based on the scoring system, which clear thresholds at each stage. In the first stage, proposals had to not reach the minimum points are rejected. After the attention shifts to the amount of the funding requested, and only proposals that meet the requirements move forward to the list for further consideration. A clear and realistic budget always increases your chances of being selected. So this is small.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay. And now, remember I mentioned you about the evaluation that is called administrative check, the first part of the evaluation. So for you to be better prepared for the administrative check, we would like to ask you to fill in the checklist, and in this way to check if everything is according to the requirement. So this checklist is required to submit into the application form, but frankly talking, it's more for you than for us to have. And really coming to an end, I would like to look at how the proposals are seen from the timeline perspective. So the preparation and application submissions are by the January 21st. And please do not submit the application on the last day of deadline. And I know for you, maybe it's more convenient and you want to prepare more quality projects and so on, but sometimes IT technologies can let us down during the most unsuitable time, and it really happened before. And it's really against our abilities to be able to accept such applications, because we need to ensure the equal treatment. Also, make sure that you really submitted the application, as I mentioned before. Do not leave into the draft. And again, please check your spam folders for notifications, because it's also nothing we can do if your inbox treat CPFA or submittable email notifications as not safe. Now, also, you are able to ask questions via a specific form that is indicated on the website by December 31st. And we are obliged to give you an answer by January 10th. Actually, we're posting the updated questions frequently from time to time, so we would encourage you to check the Q&A more often. And after the submission deadline comes, the evaluation begins and ends approximately in July. And during that time, as I mentioned before, notification of the process will reach you via email. By July 21st, you should already be informed of the decision. And we will try to be as efficient as possible to evaluate the application faster, but we'll see. Contract signature process will start from August and are expected to sign as soon as possible. So again, the involvement of your team from your organization side will be very, very much appreciated for a very, very fast start of the project. And the deadline for project implementation start is October of 2026, but again, we will try to start the project even earlier. So, for the last check, to succeed, first part is to read the guidelines for applicants very carefully and ask questions by December 31st. Then, later on, please enjoy your Christmas and the New Year. And do not forget to submit your application by January 21st via the submittable system. And if you have any issues related to the call, please let me know. And you can see my email indicated into the slide. So please write. I will look forward for your emails. And even though I really could not see you, it was a real pleasure to spend these more than 1 hour together with all of you. And for the end, ending with a nice positive note, the UCAN call for proposals is calling you, and we are encouraging you to accept it. So thanks a lot. We will share. I saw that there was a question if we will share the slides, so we will share it. I will try to put some comments for you to better understand some of the parts if anything was not clear yet. And we will try to share the slides tomorrow. And once again, have the rest of the day, colleagues, and have a great cup of coffee if you haven't had it yet. So thank you.